If you have ongoing exposure to controlling people, it's a virtual certainty that you're going to experience blurry boundaries, which is why I've created the extensive online course called This Is Me, Establishing Boundaries with the Controllers in Your Life. There's a link below that will give you all of the details, and I hope that you would find it therapeutic. The vast majority of you are very familiar with that term gaslighting. In fact, gaslighting has become such a popular word in our culture that you may remember a couple of years ago it was designated by the Merriam-Webster people as being the word of the year. Everybody's using the word gaslighting. And when we refer to gaslighting, we're talking about individuals who try to create confusion in the other person to avoid having to come to terms with who they are, and they want to keep the focus on you and your supposed dysfunction because it's their way of being able to sidestep taking responsibility for themselves. Now, what I'd like to do today is I want to see if I can add a layer of nuance to your understanding of the whole notion of gaslighting. And I want to ask the question, why is it so important for narcissists to try to keep you feeling emotionally wobbly, if you will, or keeping you in a confused kind of state? Now, beneath their efforts to try to keep you off kilter, there's a whole world of unfinished business that the narcissist carries on the inside. It's their internal chaos, is the way I put it. And specifically, narcissists carry a great deal of psychological pain. And basically, part of their many, many different ways of being disruptive toward you is their way of implying, I don't know how to deal with my own pain from the inside out, but if I can just keep you off base or off balance, I'm going to be okay because you see, I won't have to deal with it. In the narcissist world, they have learned that it's a very judgmental place. We talk about narcissists being shame-based. What we mean is they know that whenever they put themselves out there, that they're going to be judged. And along with the judgment comes a sense of, do you measure up or do you not? And they dread having the message that more or less implies you don't measure up. Somewhere in their deep past, they began realizing, well, if I say this, or if I reveal that, or if I make this mistake, or if I am known to be an outsider with respect to something, it's not going to end well for me. Shame, judgment, condescension, mocking, ridiculing is all part of the world out there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to learn how to compensate for my hidden fears. I'm going to compensate for all of the judgments that I fear are going to be put on me. And I'm going to see if I can turn the table back on to you. Now, before they turn the table back on to you, they've already developed that hidden paranoia. That's such a powerful motivator for them. In the narcissist world, they're thinking, okay, if you know who I am really, this isn't going to work out well for me. In fact, I think you're out to get me. All you judgmental people, all you people that want to run my life, and I'm not going to let that happen. And so they have a deep and abiding pessimism about you and, quote, the world out there. And in their mind, it's like, you're not going to get to me. So in their world, authenticity and openness is something that scares the daylights out of them. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if that narcissist would sit down with you and say, hey, there's a difference between you and me. Can we just talk about this? And I know you're thinking one way and you have different preferences than I do. Let's see if we can have a meeting of the minds. Is that ever going to happen in your world when that narcissist is there doing their thing? They can't do that. That would be what healthy people do. Instead, in their way of thinking, it's like, well, if I open up myself to you, you're going to ridicule me. That's their paranoia. Or if I open myself up to you and just have that honesty, it will drain me of my power. Gaslighting people are power-based people. They've decided if I can have power over you and over your mind and the way you think, life is good. Or the narcissist would think if I am open and authentic, then you will use my self-disclosures against me, and I'm not going to let that happen. I know you're on to me, and you're not going to win at that game. In their world, they think, in their mind, they think the world is unsafe. My world is unsafe. And if I were to have that sense of openness and let's talk, that's a formula for disaster. So I'm not going to show my weaknesses, but I'm going to thrive when I can make you look foolish. That's at the base of their gaslighting. So whenever you engage with that narcissist, and then you begin realizing it's happening. They're over there discounting you, which is a part of the gaslighting technique, or they may ask you questions that are not meant to solicit information, but they're meant to make you feel stupid. Or whenever they do things like they call out your reasoning, it's like you don't even know what you're talking about, or you got your facts wrong, or I don't even know where you come up with things like that, or they just have their little gaslighting nonverbals like rolling the eyes and shaking their head and just kind of chuckling silently. All of that is them trying to keep you confused. But in fact, what they are not saying is, hey, I'm in pain on the inside. I'm struggling. I don't feel right. I don't feel good about my world. And the only way I'm going to even let you know that I have pain is if I can somehow attach my pain to you. But I'm not about to talk about who I am. Now, let's get a very logical understanding of the whole notion of our psychological pain. Ideally, pain can serve the purpose of restoration. Now, do you hear me on that? If you have a gash on your arm and you have pain, that pain is saying, get over here and take care of this. We need to clean this up. If you have a gash to your soul, if you have a gash in your emotional well-being, that pain that you're feeling is your body, is your mind's way of saying, we need to do something different. And pain, if you listen to what it's trying to tell you, can have a restorative function to it. In the narcissist world, pain is not restorative at all. Pain is punitive. So when they feel pain, it's like, yeah, people have just put all their misery onto me, and now I'm over here struggling. And so what they do is they decide, well, I will pass along my pain to someone else. That's how I get rid of it. When in fact, no, you just magnify it and you keep it very much alive. But to them, when they can disguise their pain by saying there's so many things about you that are deficient, then it's just the old kicking the can down the road, and they feel smug. Now, just if we want to add a little layer of complexity to this, along with all of this gaslighting and the paranoia that drives it along, narcissists are also sitting on a bucket load of anger. You know, if you have, through the decades, decided the world is not a safe place, you can't be open, you can't be vulnerable, frustration, which is its own muffled form of anger, annoyance, agitation, and irritability is there. And so that gaslighting narcissist is also sitting on top of that sense of tension, which is their anger. But now many times they'll come out really loud with it. But you can see that gaslighting is a form of passive aggressive anger. For example, when you say something like, well, my plan is to do this, and they come along like, I don't even know how you even arrived at that conclusion that that's a good idea. That's gaslighting you. And there's that subtle form of anger. The implication is, why do I have to deal with idiots like you? And so they're agitated towards you. But if you come back and say, hey, what are you so upset about? In true passive aggressive form, they can say, "Oh, this is not about me. I'm okay. I'm just kind of worried about you." And so it's part of their gaslighting. But you can, along with their paranoia, their unwillingness to be open, their negative presumptions, then what they're doing is they're hiding their anger as well. I mean, it's just one big, huge conglomerated mess, isn't it? They hold disdain, they hold contempt for the world around, but they just simply can't admit it. Now, why is it so important? for you to know that when narcissists go into the gaslighting, and first you need to understand what gaslighting is, and so I hope you can see that. Why is it so important for you to see that gaslighting is pushed along by their paranoia, their fear of facing their own pain, their hidden anger that's a part of it? What difference does it make for you to know that? Plain and simple, first of all, knowledge is power. The number one reason that the narcissists gaslight you is they're thinking, if I can keep you in an unsettled, defensive posture, then I don't have to examine me. It's still part of their paranoia. Now, it's a dream thought if you could sit down with that person and say, hey, in the moment that they're gaslighting you, let's say they've called you into question, or they have said that they don't agree with you. Wouldn't it be nice, the dream point, would, if you could say, I can really tell that this is a very important topic for you. Why don't you sit down and let's just talk this thing out clearly so you and I can know each other more fully in the moment. They can't do that. I already mentioned that that's just something they can't do. But at the same time, one of your best coping tools is your own insight. So I'm hoping that when the narcissist comes at you with their gaslighting, and you can see that it's driven by the paranoia and it feeds their passive aggressive anger, I'm hoping you can at least think in your mind, I see what's going on. You're in pain. You have a lot of fear of other individuals that you haven't come to terms with. You have a lot of shame. You have a lot of unresolved anger. And you've chosen to cope by trying to make me the reason that you're struggling. And you want me to feel foolish and confused. Nice try. I'm on to you now. I'm not going to play the role that you want me to play. And if you could ever get rid of some of your inner turmoil, then maybe you and I could proceed with a relationship. But in the absence of that, I'm not going to be sidetracked by you trying to make me the problem. That's your paranoia. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to anchor in dignity, respect, and civility. That's what we do here on Team Healthy, starting with applying those ingredients towards myself. And then you get to move on with your own gaslighting, paranoid, passive-aggressive self. Now, I hope that videos like this can give you some good awareness of what is really going on. That's why I say I like to see if we can peel back some of the nuanced kind of elements here. If you haven't already subscribed, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button. We'll keep more videos coming to you. I hope there's a cumulative effort. I know sometimes when you're dealing with this, it would be helpful if you had therapy. You know that I've been sponsored for years by the people at BetterHelp.com. It became very popular during the pandemic, and we found out that online therapy can be quite helpful. And there are plenty of people that will say it's so helpful for me to have somebody I can talk through who really gets it. So I would hope that that would be the case. If you have the need, go through the link that we have provided below and get the help that you would need. Also, I have provided some courses, and I have more in the making that are going to be upcoming that are like signing up for an online class. Each course has at least 25 videos with written documentations and guided questions. We have Ready, Set, Connect about making healthy connections. This is me about establishing your boundaries, free to be, finding yourself despite the controllers. I also have my webinars, which are 90-minute presentations. All of this is on my website, and you can access yourself to those as well, along with the podcast, many articles, and please go into the articles. They'll help you out as well, along with my books, lots of resources. Narcissists want to keep you confused. Dr. C over here says, well, I want to keep you onto insight and awareness. That's going to be such a huge tool, and let's build on that. And in doing so, I hope that you can commit yourself to being that steady and aware kind of person that says, I'm on Team Healthy. I'm going in the different direction from where they're trying to take me. And in doing so, I hope that you get further and further down your pathway towards finding your own sense of peace.